Welcome to my personal top 10 roller coasters that I have been on. All the photos I've used have been taken by myself, so let's get straight into it. In at number 10 we have SheiKra, a B&M dive machine coaster from Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay, Florida. This ride topped Valraven for me simply because of the restraint system. Valraven uses the wing coaster vest restraints and they are really tight on my chest and my thighs, so I much prefer the old restraints which make you feel a bit more free, especially on the vertical drop. This ride has a water feature and it has a couple tunnels which make it that little bit better than the other dive coasters that I have been on out there. In at number 9 we have Turin from Phantasialand in Germany. This ride is just so good. It's a launch multi-coaster and it has just wonderful airtime the whole way through. It weaves in and out of the scenery and the rock work that they used, and the second launch is so good. Especially if you ride this coaster at night time, there is lighting on the second launch which just make it that extra little bit better, especially with the waterfall as well and all the other things that the ride does. It is a great ride and I strongly suggest you go and ride it. In at number 8 we have X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This is an Arrow 4th Dimension coaster and it is just on a whole different level of craziness. It is a bit rough, but those rotation of the seats are just make it one extra crazy experience. I love the ride, and when I rode it the fire effect was working which made it that little bit better, and it is in a great setting in California, so that is one wicked ride. In at number 7 we have Tatsu, also at Six Flags Magic Mountain in California. This is a B&M flying roller coaster. Now I have ridden a few B&Ms, but this one is by far the best. It is just the fastest, the longest. It's great layout. That pretzel loop which you're looking at right now is so intense. It is just crazy, and when I got into the brake run on this roller coaster I thought, oh my god, that is one of my top 10 roller coasters. It is great. In at number 6 we have an all-time favourite of mine, a B&M invert coaster Nemesis from Alton Towers in England. This coaster was a favourite of mine for many years. It is such a classic, it is so good, it is built so extremely well in the ground and it just makes you feel like you're going that bit faster with all the rocks next to you. It's a wonderful ride. Don't let the size fool you, as it really kicks ass, and just because it doesn't have a first drop doesn't mean it ain't fast. So it is my top 5. Number 5 we have Shambala, a B&M hypercoaster from Port Aventura in Spain. This roller coaster is the best B&M hyper that I have been on. The first drop is awesome and it goes straight into a tunnel. It's steep, there is loads of airtime from beginning to end, and this ride also features a water splashdown area. This coaster is built on top of another B&M, Dragon Khan, and the way they are put together is so amazing, and Shambala just dominates that whole park. So number 4, we have the only wooden coaster to make my top 10, and that is El Toro, an Intamin wooden coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure. This roller coaster is mental. That first drop is so steep, especially on a wooden coaster. The airtime is just injector airtime from beginning to end. I absolutely love this ride, and what made it even better is it's just as smooth as a steel coaster. It's long, it's intense, and I rode this ride over and over, and I rode it in the rain as well, which made it that extra little bit special for me. Number 3, we have a Giga Coaster Millennium Force from Cedar Point in Ohio. This ride is massive. It's the only Giga Coaster I've ridden. It is so awesome. I actually thought it was going to be my number 1, but it wasn't. It did lack a little bit of the airtime in places that I thought it was going to get, but it was super intense and it was super fast from beginning to end, and I really did love it. And I did get some really good moments of airtime in little places, and I did actually grey out a little bit on that first turnaround. So in at number 2 we have 2 roller coasters, the first one being King Dakar from Six Flags Great Adventure. I love launch coasters and this one is super intense. I really enjoyed it. It is unfortunately rather short, but I think because it is so intense you wouldn't really want it to be any longer. It was the first strata coaster I ever rode, and this was my number 1 roller coaster for a couple years, until I rode Top Thrill Dragster, which is very similar. I've paired these rides up because they are so similar, but Top Thrill Dragster is simply that little bit better just because of the lap bars. You feel way more free coming down that spiral drop, and it really was a favourite of mine. So in at number 1, you probably all guessed it, It is Maverick at Cedar Point. This roller coaster has everything I love in a roller coaster in one. It has a lift hill with a really steep drop, it is fast, it changes of direction, the airtime is insane, it has inversions, then it stops and then you do a launch, and I've just said how I love launch roller coasters. The second half with the Stengel dives is just awesome. There's great airtime again at the end and then slam into the brakes. This all round for me was a perfect roller coaster, and that is why it's my number one. Honourable shout out as well to Magnum XL200 and Lost Gravity. Those two coasters are also favourites of mine. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.